Okay, I think we're live. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. For those new here, my name's Nikki and we're here today for my once a month language learning related video. We're still working through at the moment, just looking at each of the languages that I have been studying, talking about how I got into them, how I've been studying them and that sort of thing. So we're up to language number 3 today, which as you will see from the banner below, which I'll remove in a second, is Italian. So, how I got started with Italian. In the previous 2 videos, you'll remember that I studied French and German at high school. These were compulsory subjects. We took up one in the first year of high school and added the second one as well. So we were studying 2 foreign languages from the second year of high school. When it came to finishing my GCSEs, and I decided to stay on at school for the 2 years to do my A-levels prior to university. And at the time, we had an option. You had to do 3 A-levels. You could do 4. And at first I was looking at doing 4. I was going to do English, music, French and German. However, we were then given the option, because our French teacher was also an Italian teacher. She was willing to do a 1-year intensive GCSE in Italian if we wanted to do that. But at that point, we had to make a decision to only do 3 A-levels and not 4. So I did make the decision. And in the end, I dropped German, if you remember from the previous video, in order to take this Italian class. So it was just a 1-year course, but we did the GCSE exam at the end of it. And I've still got here, actually, I'll show you some of the books that I had when I did those studies, and this is going back to the late 90s. I still have them. So we have, you say, well, there we go, your Italian vocabulary guide for GCSE and your Italian speaking test guide for GCSE. It's funny because I don't think I've ever looked at these particular books since. They've just sat on my shelf and moved across the world from England to Australia with me. And I'm just sort of glancing through them now. And they're not bad. I think the speaking test one is a little bit better than the vocabulary guide, because I mean the vocabulary guide literally is just lists of words. There's not a lot else in there. There's a few phrases using them at the end of each chapter, but it pretty much is just a list of words. The speaking test one's a little bit better though. It gives you phrases, but then it also gives you some sort of example scenarios of what you might say in response to the GCSE questions, like tell me about your family, and there's a few kind of example answers and things like that, as well as the phrases. So it wasn't bad. I did use them at the time, and if you're studying GCSE, the speaking test one, at least if these books are still around, it really wasn't a bad book. Those were the only prescribed books, though. Everything else we just did via handouts. So I don't have any kind of textbooks for Italian. And just off my own back, I went and bought, I got this one, Italian Verbs. As with the French and German, it's handy sometimes just to have a quick verb table. If you just can't remember the ending, you just need to look something up quickly. And I also got this short guide to Italian grammar. It's the Barron's Italian Grammar Guide. And as you can see, it's just a tiny little book, but it's actually reasonably useful, despite its size. It covers a fair amount of stuff. The explanations are not too bad. So if you just want a sort of quick and dirty, easy, quick reference grammar guide, you don't want a huge book to lug around, something like this is not too bad. Certainly carrying it around in school bags, this was a nice handy size. So as I said, it was just a 1-year course, which, however, got my Italian to a decent level that when we went over to Italy for holiday with my family, I was able to order food and buy stuff in shops and just the basic kind of everyday stuff. After that, though, I obviously wasn't using Italian a great deal. So moving on to, I'm just going to shift. Let's go that way. There we go. Shift that way a bit. So I wasn't using Italian a huge amount after I finished that intensive GCSE course. It's just one of those languages. At the time, I didn't have any pen pals in Italy. I'm still feeling like I'm, there we go. That's better. Okay. Yeah, so I didn't have any pen pals. We visited Italy. We did a couple of trips. When we first went to Italy, I've got a feeling we did South Italy. And that was actually my family's first overseas trip. My parents had always been really anti-overseas travel when I was young. And all our holidays were the English coast, Bournemouth and Weymouth and all the seaside holiday staples. Torquay 1 year for a major change. But we finally did do this trip to Italy. We went to South Italy. And this is before I studied Italian. We stayed in Sorrento. And then after I'd been learning Italian, we did the one trip to Lido di Jesolo, not far from Venice. And we had a week there. And at that was the time I was able to practice a little bit. But in terms of using Italian, really the only thing I was doing in Italian straight after my studies was singing. I took singing lessons. I was taking singing exams, which obviously involved singing canzone, light opera. So just before I came to Australia, in fact, I was preparing for, which I never got to take, the Fellowship of the Royal Schools of Music exam, and I was doing a Mozart aria in Italian for that. I did listen to music in Italian though, because I do like opera, and I also like sort of classical music in general, and I like singers like Andrea Bocelli. So I did listen to music in Italian. I'm a huge musical theatre fan, and musicals are not quite as huge in Italy as they are in other European countries, but I do have a few recordings of Italian productions of musicals, such as Notre Dame de Paris, Romeo and Juliet. So that's really all I was doing for a while. I did try to read a bit in Italian. I'm very fond of the Italian classics. So I did buy Dante's La Vita Nuova in Italian. And I also picked up a few books, like, for example, I read through the first Harry Potter book in Italian. However, I wasn't really using it all that much. And when I came to Australia, I did, for a while, end up having an Italian pen pal. We did stop writing it. That was at my instigation, because postage stamps to send letters to Europe are $3.50 here now. It's really expensive. And I would write her these long letters about everything I was doing. And the responses I got, she'd just comment on what I told her, and that was it. She never told me anything about herself. And I kind of felt it was, although I was getting a bit of Italian practice out of it, I couldn't read her handwriting either. And she seemed like a lovely girl, but she tried to fix it by writing everything in capitals, but it was still so messy, and she didn't put gaps between the words. So for me, it was really difficult to try and read her letters. And then when I did work my way through them and managed to decipher them, they didn't really say a lot. So I did stop writing to her, and I've been thinking I would like to try and find another Italian pen pal. So really, I haven't done a huge amount in Italian for a while. However, because I did keep up my French a bit more, and the two languages are fairly similar, I didn't actually lose too much. And I did some free MOOCs, some massive open online courses, probably about 2 to 3 years ago now. And I saw they had Italian beginner, intermediate, advanced, and I decided to work through them all. And I did these courses with no revision. I just kind of zoomed through them as fast as I could, doing all the exercises. And I got between 95 to 98% on all three without any revision, because once I started doing it, I did remember it fairly quickly. Around a similar time, probably just before that, I was buying some grammar books for other languages. So I did also invest in this one, which I need to send that way. There we go, Modern Italian Grammar, the Routledge. And I've shown you these books before for the French and German as well. I do rather like the series. It's really in-depth grammar. It's dry, it's not exciting, but if you need to look something up for grammar, it's a really good reference. The explanations are clear. So I do like this series. So it's really been, I'd say, since I did those courses, those online free courses, made me think I wanted to work on my Italian a bit again. So I have been trying to do so more lately. And certainly within the last year or so, I started listening to, in fact, I think I forgot to put this on the notes for the video, so I will edit and add it in just a moment. But I've found a website called Easy Italian News, and if you search it, if you Google it, you'll come across it. And they, you can just go to their website, or you can sign up for the emails, and they do, I think it's about 3 emails a week and 3 recordings a week. And they record sort of condensed version of news stories in Italian. It's not slow Italian per se, but they speak at a sort of moderate pace. And I'd say it's kind of an intermediate level. And you can read the transcript as you listen to them saying it. So I'd started doing that. I also listen to the Italian news on SBS Radio as well, on the on-demand website version. And I tend to listen actually to SBS radio for French, German, and Italian while I'm doing family history research. I just put them on and kind of listen to them a bit in the background. So I was already doing that. I then added this Easy Italian News. And then I had a look around on YouTube and found a couple of websites, a couple of YouTubers, that I really like. Weilá Tom is the first one. He does videos breaking down different bits of grammar and vocab and things like that. I like his videos. He's really engaging the way he presents the information. His explanations are really good. So if you're kind of beginner to intermediate looking for some good grammar explanations on YouTube, his channel is worth checking out. I also follow Italian with Lucrezia, and she does, again, also grammar explanations. Hers do cover beginner basic stuff, but she also covers some more advanced grammar, differentiating between different verbs and things like that. Plus, recently she started doing a lot of vlogs, which are really good fun. So she speaks in Italian, but usually you can get English subtitles put up if you need them. And she lives in Rome, and she travels around Rome, takes us to the supermarket with her and various things, and describing things as she goes. And those are really enjoyable, just little sort of 15-minute videos. You get to see a little bit of everyday life in Italy while practicing your listening. And the other one, the podcast I like to listen to is a website, Piccolo Mondo Italiano. So Piccolo Mondo Italiano is a podcast that talks about Italian culture and literature. They're fairly short, I'd say sort of 10 to 15-minute little podcasts. So it's easy to fit into your day, and I do quite enjoy those. They're probably at an intermediate level, I would say. You can see the transcript to follow as she speaks. So if you need that, that's great. And you can practice reading and listening at the same time. Or you can just listen to her. And for me personally, because I'm interested in culture and history and literature, I really enjoy the topics she speaks on. So that's probably where I am with Italian. In some ways, I don't use Italian as much as some of the other languages. However, as I said, because it is similar to other languages I've done, it does still stick quite a lot. I mean, I definitely forget bits of vocab here and there in terms of speaking and writing, but I find I have no trouble with comprehension for listening and reading as much. It's even if it's a word I wouldn't remember to produce myself, when I see it, I recognize it or can work out fairly easily what it is. So I do enjoy Italian, and I probably should try to use it a bit more. And I am hopefully going to try and find 1 or 2 new Italian pen pals, or at least online friends I can write to practice. And I don't sing in Italian as much these days either, actually, because I'm not doing that sort of classical music for exams and things anymore. Italian's not a language I often sing in, but I still enjoy Italian movies as well, when I get the chance to watch a few. And I have actually got lined up on Netflix a couple of Italian things, I think, at the moment, which I haven't gotten to yet, but I will watch eventually. And I think that's probably it for my Italian. It's a language that I sort of took up I thought, why not? It meant giving up German earlier than I'd originally planned, but I was glad I did it in the end, because I enjoyed Italian. I got on well with it. Having done French, I found it quite easy to get into very quickly. And for me, it's just a matter, I think, of using it a little bit more often than I currently do, because it's definitely in here still. And as I said, in passive learning, I have no problems even now, not having studied it seriously for a long time. But in terms of producing myself, I just think I need to do it a bit more often, more speaking and more writing, just to get myself back into that zone. So I think that is all I need to say for Italian. I will be back again next month. I am doing this in case anyone's surprised that I'm a bit early with this one. Normally I would be doing this around the middle of the month, but I'm doing it a week early because I have to work overtime next week. And I was just looking at my schedule and thinking, when am I going to fit this in? And I thought I should just do it today. I'm going for my booster jab in a minute, actually, so I thought I'd get it done before that. So I will be back again in March, when we will be talking about Czech. Czech was the next one I picked up. So I hope you will join me again then. And unless anything changes, that will be more around the middle of the month. So sort of between the 12th and the 16th, something around there, depending on what days those dates fall on and when I'm free. So I do hope you will join me then. I will wind up for now. I've just noticed I've got a comment. Let me just check. Oh, it's just a spam comment. Okay, so I will say goodbye, but I hope to see you all again next time when we'll be talking about learning Czech. Bye for now, everyone.